All right, everyone. Thank you again so much for joining me today. Again, I have a very special guest, and I can't wait to really dive in and have a real conversation with her about everything. So, before we start, I would like to take the opportunity to introduce her formally. She is an integrative productive expert. She is mostly known for creating the productive flow mastery method, her integrative whole body approach to productivity and business growth. She is an engaging and relatable speaker who has made it her personal mission to help ambitious, purpose-driven entrepreneurs and sales professionals overcome stress and chaos so they can create the life and business they want, and ultimately the freedom and security they created their business to achieve. Her integrative productive strategies helped her go from chaotic hot mess with big dreams and failed achievement to the woman who raised and homeschool five, not one, two, I have two. She has five children while running and growing a successful coaching company and always creating the perfect balance for herself, her family, and her business, no matter what obstacle presented itself along the way. Please help me, without further ado, welcome our amazing featured guest, Angela Kristen Taylor. Welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yes, awesome. So let's dive right in. I could
Sure.
not wait. So tell me a little bit, well, first of all, share a little bit about where you are, because that has
Sure.
everything to do with the lifestyle that you're living right now, right?
Yeah.
And then begin to start telling us your story and what inspired you to do what you do today.
Yeah. So I'm actually in Louisville, Kentucky right now. And I'm sitting in our fifth wheel, which is an RV. So
Amazing.
it's so fun. And so my husband, he's a project manager for a company that owns and manages apartment communities. And he travels in different parts of the country. And because we homeschool and I work from home, that we can just pack up and go. So like we got the dog and the kid and like me, and we just packed up. We have a big, like it's 43 foot. We have 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room with a big screen TV and a fireplace and like a massive kitchen. And it's all like towable. So we just packed up and went, and here we are. So
Wow.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love this lifestyle we've created for ourselves to have that kind of freedom to be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did it all begin? Like how did it all start for you?
Um, you know what? I think, I was doing a show yesterday, and it was about, real estate. And the thing is that I did start in real estate. And when I was 19, I bought my first house. And by the time I was 22, I owned 4 homes, and I was managing 3 of them as rental properties and living in the fourth. And I really had come into a space of realizing that I didn't have to follow everybody else's supposed tos and should be's, right? And I was like living this life that a lot of grown-ups, because I didn't consider myself a grown-up at that point, it was still like a kid, that I was living a life that a lot of grown-ups weren't leading. And I thought, wow, like I didn't go to college, I didn't do any of the supposed to things, I broke all the rules, and here I am living this amazing life, right? And then I got my real estate license. I worked as a realtor for a few years, and I realized that what I loved most was being in the office and helping all the other realtors. So my first thought was, maybe I need to be a real estate broker. And then I was like, no, I don't think I really want to run a real estate office. I just like helping the agents, but I didn't want to be an assistant and make $10 an hour. So I'm like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And so I actually started doing marketing for realtors locally. And then that turned into me thinking, if I could do this for people locally and I don't go to their office, I could do this for anybody anywhere. And the internet had really just started to come out. And so the only agents that had a website at that point were agents that had like a really big business. And so these were early adopters of technology and things like that. And so that's how we got it. I started up this company. I ended up with 40 clients, a lot of them were brokerage offices, and my company, I ended up hiring 10 people to do all of this. We're doing all of this work for all these real estate brokerages all over the country. And this is before like virtual assistant was a thing. And so I ran that company and then ended up sitting on the phone talking to my agents through their problems. And then somebody had said the word to me about coach. And I'm like, coach, what's that? Tell me about this. What is this coach? They're like, this is what you just did. You were coaching me. And I'm like, I started looking at, looking more into this. And I was like, I love this. I can make money doing that. Like just talking to people and asking them questions, like sign me up for that. And so that's how I started coaching. And it's been 20 years now coaching.
Wow. I don't know, Angela, if you make it sound like you're that much older, but I can't tell, like you're more than 25.
Oh
like
my
a day
gosh,
older than
no.
25. So not to
No,
say.
I will tell you that 4 of our 5 children are grown-up adults, and we have 2 grandchildren. And I have one left at home that we had very late in life, and he is almost 9. So he's the only one we have left at home now. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. It's so interesting. Honestly, I have a similar story too with you when I discovered the coaching industry. And I think it came full circle for me because I actually wanted to be a therapist with my background in cognitive psychology. And then when I came across coaching, I was like, wait, it's very similar, but I don't have to do like the prescriptions and get really heady with things. This is really real. Like I had to do research after I've learned that it's an actual thing. It's a vocational, like it's like people actually were making money and I was like, wow, okay. So super amazing. So it's like coaching found you.
Yeah, pretty much. It did. And what was interesting is that back then for real estate agents specifically, the only coach they worked with was a productivity coach. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm a productivity coach. And I knew how to be organized and structured because I had to figure out how to do that for myself, because my natural focus was being a rule breaker. So I was always into 50 million different projects. So like my life was chaos, and I did not, I was like, I had to figure out how to make things function for me, because my mom is just like this super type A, very organized, structured person. And I'm not that at all. So I'm like, how do I make this work for me? Because her way never worked for me. And what I noticed was that a lot of agents that I worked with thought that's who they had to be. And eventually I came to realize that this was entrepreneurs. It wasn't just realtors. It was just like pretty much anybody that was going out for freedom in their life, that this was coming from this space and these stories that we had developed as children, that there was one way we were supposed to do things. And it was the way our parents told us and our teachers and all this, said, you're supposed to do things this way. And we're like, but I don't wanna. I don't want to do things that way. I don't like your way. I want to do things differently. And then we were always told that we were wrong, and that if we failed at something because we put in zero effort, because we had no desire to learn like algebra or something, so we're like, I don't care about that. I'm going to study this thing on Pocahontas because she's really interesting. I'm going to do that instead. And so you get an A in history and like fail math miserably, and your parents are like, what's wrong with you? And your teacher's like, why don't you apply yourself? And it's realizing that as a kid, you wanted something different, and you wanted to kind of follow the beat of your own drum. And so we wanted to create this sense of freedom of direction to go in whatever direction we felt our heart was calling us to. And it's very different from what I've found to be sort of neurodivergent versus neurotraditional. And neurotraditional is saying, like, I get up, I do these things, I have these activities in my life, I'm checking all the boxes, and this is my life, right? And it's like, that's cool. That's you. That's great. I'm happy that you're living the life that you want. But those of us that are more entrepreneurial and freedom focused, we're like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that. And they're totally different things, completely different. And there are all these things that people say, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. And we're like, watch me. I'm going to do it. Nobody's going to tell me no. I'm going to make it happen. And then you do. But the problem with how productivity feeds into this is that we want to do these things, but the stories of the you shouldn't and you can't, and that's not going to work for you, and you're not capable, all those stories come back and bite us in those low emotional moments where we question ourselves. Can I do this? Do people even want this? Can I, build this thing and really make this money that I want to make? And we have so many questions and so many doubts, and then we start to doubt ourselves, and their emotions just go, whoop, and then we don't do any things, like we'll keep ourselves busy in the busy work. Like, I need this website and I got to have this branding. I need this photo shoot. I need this social media content. I need all this stuff. And then where's the lead gen? Like, where's our top line funnels that are feeding us our people? And we're not doing that work, because doing that work means that we actually have to face up and tell people, I totally believe in what I'm doing, and you should too. And here's why. Because we're afraid that they're going to come back to us and say, you can't do that. You're not good enough to do this. Why should I listen to you?
Yeah.
And so it stops us.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting to hear you say all of that. I always like to tell my students too, or my clients, that if you ever want to work on yourself, start a business, because it's like self-development on steroids.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like, it's so different when, like, I even have some who came from the corporate space and have always definitely sold, and even from the nonprofit space where they have raised so millions of dollars for a cause. And it's like they wouldn't blink an eye if it comes to like a presentation trying to, raise capital or money from an investor. Like, they never would blink. But when it comes to their own business, and having the first sales call is petrifying to them. I'm like,
yeah.
But compared to what you used to do, this is supposedly so much easier, but it's very different, right? Like, when you're an entrepreneur and you really have to sell yourself, and selling yourself in that way takes different level of confidence, and also willingness and belief and all of the above. So I find that super interesting, where people always think about, oh, I need to have the right strategies for my business, I'm going to succeed. I'm like, actually, that's one piece. If actually it's actually less than 20%, like more of the business acumen, or like what's going to really get you successful, is actually mindset, and really making sure that you can really go out there and sell or share your products and services the way that people would resonate with. And so I love that you say that. And that's why it's important, like you say, that we have to go with the beat of our own drums, because that's how we connect with people, right? What's so interesting, that's so interesting is like, and that's usually, I really do believe you have those people who are entrepreneurial, and those people are meant to, work their jobs, or like that career, because the entrepreneurs, I think, are totally the ones that are like, no, I want to do it my way. And that's why I'm over here. And I love you when you say, watch me, because that's totally my own dialogue. When someone tells me, you want to do that? Are you sure? Are you sure about that? I'm not sure you're going to succeed. And I'm like silent to myself, say, watch me. And you have to. And so I think that's a really great message for the audience to really hear, is that we're not here to please everyone. And there is no real way of doing the supposed, but do it the way that you know how. And I think that's what we need to get clear with, is that, and that's why I say too, there's so many business strategies and marketing strategies, but the reason why our clients are successful is because we don't just give you the cookie cutter, like, do this thing, because it may not work with the season in your life. It may not work with your personality. It may not work with your lifestyle. Like, can you imagine if you had to go and deliver your services to the people in person, like you used to with the real estate agents? Like, that would never work with your lifestyle right now.
No, not at all. No.
And I think that's great. So now I'm excited to hear about your system coming
Sure.
from being super structured because of your upbringing, your mom, etc.
Yeah.
And then you're able to create a system where it's still a system, meaning it's a structure and
Hmm.
things like that. I would
Hmm.
love to hear more about how your system is different and
Yeah.
how it works with. It sounds like it would be so ideal for entrepreneurs like myself and others, so I want to hear more.
Yeah. Yeah. So I came up with the idea of productive flow from my understanding that how we feel on the inside is what's driving our motivation and ability to action tasks on a daily basis. So it's like our emotion is driving our productivity, right? And it's in any given moment. So it's like, you know how if you wake up and you're just like, oh, I did not sleep well last night, I'm tired, I'm just not having a great day or whatever. And it's like you can have a whole calendar full of stuff that you're supposed to do. And you're like, I know these things will move me forward. But if you're not there, like emotionally, it's not going to happen. Like your energy is drained, your emotions are down. You can slog through it if you choose to. But the thing is that you're better off not doing those things and doing something else is going to bring up your emotions and your energy to where then you can do those things. Because like if you had to write content, okay, you're going to write content, you planned, you're going to record videos, you're going to write content, and you are not in it in that moment, you're not present with it, you're not in the mood to do it, then what's going to happen is it's all going to be garbage. It's not going to resonate with anybody. It's not going to connect with anybody. Or if it does, it's going to connect to the wrong person, not the person you want to attract, because your energy is so off when you're doing it. And
Mm,
so it's so important. And so this is what I started to come up with. It's like everybody is like, well, I need to learn how to manage my time. Well, sure, but we all have the same amount of time. It's
mhm,
just how you're choosing to use it. And then what I would find is that they're choosing to use their time by building it full of busy stuff because there's something going on internally, like we were just talking about, where they don't want to face their potential customers. They don't want to face them. They don't want to have to talk about it. They're like, I can do it through social media. And then it's all hands off. Yeah, can, but it's not going to work as well as if you actually connect to people, you
mhm,
know? And so there's like so many different things that come into play. And so what I realized is that it's emotion, energy, time, and focus. Those are the four things that matter to get you to get off your butt and actually do the things. It's emotion, energy, time, and focus. And so we start at focus, and then we go backwards because it's so much easier to see things inside out. And so I go through this activity that I call setting your GPS. And so one of the things that I did in my lifelong educational training process is become certified as a meditation trainer. And so I lead people through this sort of a guided meditation of visualizing their ideal day in their ideal life and walking them through waking up in the morning all the way till they go to bed at night. And what happens is instead of planning what they think they want, what they actually want comes up and comes out of their mouth. And sometimes they're surprised. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know I wanted that. I didn't know I was going to do that. That's so interesting. It felt so good. I didn't know. And so when they set their GPS, and it's the same thing we do when we get in our car, right? We program our destination and then we get there really fast because we're avoiding the accidents and the police. And so we're not going to get a speeding ticket. Like we're going to get there. But we don't do that in our lives. So doing this activity allows you to create like an address for your end destination, where you want to be. Like,
mhm.
this is where I want to go. And then
Love.
from there, it's easier to backtrack it and say, okay, well, if this is what I want, like what aspects of that can I bring into my life right now? And then what do I need to have happen so these other things can take place? And then all of a sudden you have a structure that you didn't have before, because
Mhm.
before it was like you're playing bumper cars. You're just driving around with no GPS. You're like, I don't know where I'm going. I'm just,
Going.
whatever. So this allows them to actually figure out what they really want from a subconscious level. And it also helps them to understand like what's preventing them from getting it now. What's stopping them? What's in the way? You
Yeah.
know, like one of the things when I did this for myself is I realized I don't want to work every day of the week. Like, who created this 5-day work week? I don't like that. I don't want to do that. That sounds awful. Why am I doing that? You
Agree.
know? And so
Mhm.
I was like, you know, if I could just, in my ideal vision that I was walking myself through, was that I only work Tuesday through Thursday and I only work from 9 to 2. And I was like, and then I only work the first 3 weeks of the month because the last week of the month, I was like, I'm going to take off. I'm going to do something else and not have to think about work or anything else. So then I was like, why am I not doing that now? I can do that now. And I just restructured my clients, my offers, my programs, everything. And I was like 9 to 2, Tuesday through Thursday. Got it. That's a 45-hour work month, not week, month. And I could still accomplish everything I wanted to do. And I'm like, this is amazing. And it just freed up so much. So, and then you come into the space of saying, well, okay, now I have the structure. And now I figure out how I'm going to structure my time so that these things happen because you have an actual plan that's going to get you there. And
Right.
then it's like, okay, well, what do I need to do to create the energy that's going to bring me there? And energy is I love it because it's physical energy and it's also like our etheric energy, right? So it's like our mindset and our you know, how we connect to people and what drives us and what makes us feel good and what makes our bodies feel good. So, you know, one of the other things I did was I got certified as a health coach and it was like a year program. And doing that helped me understand how food connects into our bodies and helps us create the emotions that we want to create.
Mhm.
And so it was like all of this stuff, it feeds into the energetic aspects of creating a feeling in your body, you know, from a physical, but also from a mindset aspect of what's going to make me want to get up and do all these things. So there's a motivation and a drive that you're creating with your body, not just saying, oh, I'm going to do this because I'm going to check these things off the box. Like that's going to motivate you. You know, I mean, some people, my mom gets very excited about a list that she can check boxes off of. Me, I look at a list, I'm like, I don't want to do that today. You know, but if I have it tied into something that excites me and lights me up, I'm like, oh my God, I get to do this today. And it's still not about checking off a box. It
Yeah.
has more meaning to me than that. And then that comes back into our emotional state that roots us into this dream, this life that we want to build.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. And that makes so much sense in terms of like, wait, she was talking about not liking structure. She doesn't talk about like the traditional way of doing things. Like how, like where do you even begin? And it makes so much sense when you said the person gets to set their own GPS, like their own work
Mhm.
schedule, their own
Yeah.
way of running their day,
Yeah.
and how they want to do it, because that, I think that's what that's the disconnect for me, right? Because I'm like trained on the traditional side of like,
Mhm.
you wake up at 5 and you eat at 5:30 and you work out at 6,
Mhm.
and you know what I mean, and
Yeah.
that's the schedule, but that's works for one person, it's not going to work for the next person. So
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
it. So I am so excited and I can't wait to share this with you, audience, that Angela is so generous to also offer you an opportunity to see how are you operating in your life and business. Is there any gaps? Is there anything that she can do to help you get even more productive, but ultimately live the lifestyle that you want? Do you want to go in an
Mhm.
RV and take the whole family with you and just go off and do your thing? Or do you want more structure in your life so why you can produce more results? It's up to
Mhm.
you. And so with that, Angela is offering a free productivity breakthrough session via her website, productiveflow.as.me/clutter free. So take her up on it. In fact, Angela, don't be surprised if you see my name on the list. I am going to sign up. And other than that, thank you so much. I have a new sense of commitment in terms of
Mm.
how I want to create my lifestyle. And knowing that it doesn't have to look a certain way, um, is such a relief. Right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I could be shown, and I have been shown, like, this is the schedule. This is what it's supposed to look like. But I was like, no, I don't want to
Mhm.
work Fridays.
And you don't have to. You don't have to. And
Right?
it doesn't have to take away from your income. When you actually work less, you actually make more because
Yeah.
you have more freedom and more creativity because the energy is available to you
Oh my
instead of
God.
just being drained every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm 100%. And I think that's what entrepreneurs should really understand. It's
Mhm.
not about working hard like back in the days, like the blue collar
Yeah.
times where you like grind. And no, we have so much more than ever before when
Mhm.
it comes to
Mhm.
access, even the internet, etc. I think it's really allowing ourselves to really get rooted to what we want, and then how
Mhm.
do we want to help the people that we want to help, especially in business. And
Yeah.
think the rest is going to follow, as
Yeah.
long as we're being diligent, with
Mhm.
following through. So thank you so much. Oh
Absolutely.
my gosh, I can talk to you all day. All
Thank
day,
you.
every day. I need a little Angela jolt of like, what do you want your day to look like? Oh my goodness. So great. Thank you. If you don't have
Yeah,
any
thank
last
you.
minute remarks for the audience, then and thank you again for being a part of our show.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just say that the link that you gave them is my booking link to book the productivity breakthrough session. So absolutely do that. And my website is angelakristentaylor.com, or you can just go to productiveflow.com. It'll take you right there.
Awesome. All right. Thank you
Thanks
so
so
much
much.
for everything, and enjoy the rest of your trip with your
Thank
family
you.
there. And I will talk to you soon. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Bye bye.